everyone, thank you so much for joining me. Today I'm going to show you how I clean my makeup brushes. It's been about almost 2 weeks since I've washed my makeup brushes. I habitually wash my brushes every week, but that's when I'm wearing makeup almost every day. With quarantine and just not going out of the house very often, I'm not using makeup as much as I normally would. So that's why there's a bit of a lapse. So I have these brushes and they are nice and dirty and could really use a good cleaning. And I'm going to show you the products that I use and the method that I use to clean them properly. So I hope you will find some tips and tricks to help you along with keeping your brushes clean, healthy, sanitized, and keep them lasting for as long as you can. Makeup brushes can be quite expensive. Now let's be real here. You don't need really expensive brushes. You don't. You can get away with whatever you can afford. For me, I've spent, a decent amount of money on my brushes, and whether I spend $100 on a brush or $5 on a brush, I want it to last for as long as possible and keep it as new and as good as it can be. So before we get started, let's talk about something really important, what I'm using to wash my brushes. So we're gonna start off with one of my go-tos. This is Morphe's Cleansing Balm. It is fabulous. I love it. This happens to be Eucalyptus Chill. I don't find that there's much of a scent on here, or at least it doesn't bother me, so that's good. This is Lavish Quick Color Switch. So it's a dry makeup removing sponge, and it reminds me of a charcoal filter. It's dry and it's bristly and it's whatever. I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's good for what it's meant to be used for. This is not a cleaner per se. This just allows you to be able to wipe off the color and dip into a new color right away without washing your brush. This does not sanitize your brush. It does not even really clean it. It just allows you to dip into a palette without having to change your brush. It's okay if either you're short on brushes, or if one is broken, or if you're traveling and you don't want to bring too many things with you, then it's okay. But honestly, I'm just not a fan, but I will go through how to use it just in case if this might be a product that you would like. And we're gonna wash some brushes with my MAC brush cleanser. I love, this is probably my third or fourth bottle of this. It is amazing. There's a bit of a learning curve to this. When I went to MAC the other day to pick that up, I was chatting with the salesperson, and who was amazing, and I absolutely adore her. She's so fun. We could sit and talk about makeup for hours. Anyways, apparently a lot of people have bought this and brought it back, explaining that they didn't think it was the right fit for them, it wasn't working, but it was the way that they were using it. And I'm hoping to be able to help you through your makeup brush cleaning journey. So let's get to it. We got some washing to do. Okay, so the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure we are prepared and set to go. So I have my counter space all ready. I have my brush cleaners. I have my dirty brushes. I have my towel to lay my brushes out on, flat to dry. And I have my brush formers that I like to use. And I will show you how and why I love these things so much. Okay, first I'm going to start off with organizing my workspace. With my brushes here. And then I lay a towel out flat. Quick tip, never ever ever put your brushes in a jar to dry face down or even face up. putting them face down, you're going to ruin the bristles and they won't dry properly, and they will dry like this and they will be pretty much ruined. Letting your brush dry upright like that means the water is traveling from the bristles down into the handle and damaging it. There are contraptions that you can get. I used to have one where it holds the handle of the brush and allows the brush to dry hanging upside down like this. But otherwise, if that is not an option for you, always lay them flat to dry. All right, so let's get started. We're going to start with, let's start with the MAC. So I always use warm water, not too hot, not too cold. And you always wet your brush thoroughly and holding it handle side up, bristles side down. Get it really super wet, and you don't want the water going into the handle. Also, you'll notice that this is really dirty as well. And I always clean and sanitize my handles. It doesn't help when your makeup is waterproof and it doesn't want to wash off. Perfect. Okay. So the brush is nice and wet. We're going to take the cleanser. We're going to put it directly on here. You want to put a decent amount. You can use your hand, you can use a silicone sponge like I will be when I start using my Morphe. I'm always extremely gentle. Never go like that to your brush where you're forcing it to split. You will ruin it. I'm always gentle, circular motion or back and forth. Super, super gentle. And with this, you want to work the cleaner through the bristles, and I just use my thumb like that. A good thing to remember with this cleanser is that it doesn't suds up. So if you're expecting to see lots and lots of bubbles to tell you that, you know, something is happening that is being cleaned, it's not going to happen. It does not suds that way. This cleanser is so great for your brushes because it is very moisturizing to the bristles. And already there's such a huge difference. We're gonna rinse. And really get in there. This is a very densely packed brush. This is the Jaclyn Hill JH03. It's one of my favorite complexion brushes, and this is Morphe. Beautiful, all nice and clean. Gently squeeze the water out. Make sure the water that's coming out is clear. And feel it to see if it feels soapy or not clean, or if there's any residue. And I feel a bit of it, so I'm going to rinse it. I don't think there's anything wrong with rinsing your brushes too much. I would rather rinse it super, super well and know that there's no soap going onto my face when I'm trying to apply my makeup, than having a residue and having that go on my face as well as the makeup. So again, squeeze gently, and then I always shape, and then I'm going to show you what I was talking about, these little formers. So they're very stretchy, they fit brushes of all sizes, and it stretches out just like that. Reminds me of fishnets. And you slide it in, and you always start from the handle side and push along So just to the end of the bristles. And now when it dries, it's going to help my brush retain its shape and be beautiful, and for the bristles not to go. Next, same thing. So this is another Morphe X Jaclyn Hill. This is the JH02. This is a powder brush. Fairly dirty, look at that. Again, making sure that the brush is super, super wet. You really want it very, very, very wet. Now I take a little bit of soap on my handle. Okay, my handle. Okay, again, we're taking the MAC and we're going to pour it on there. And just light circular motions like that. See, there's a little bit of suds, but not really. And as you can see, it's already working through my brush. And I just massage it through. And get right in there. And you can see that it's already working its magic. You only need a little bit. You might be tempted to add more and more and more because you're associating clean with suds, and this really isn't the case with this cleaner. You just want to work it through and then rinse. By all means, if you feel you're not satisfied with how clean it gets, you can redo it. And this needs to be rinsed a bit more. But this looks so gorgeous, and the bristles feel so amazing. Especially with synthetic brushes, as they dry, sometimes they might dry looking like that. You don't want that. You don't want a janky looking brush. So I'm just going to re-wet it. Gently squeeze. Make sure you feel your brush to feel if you think that there's any residue left over. Again, you do not want that on your face. Grab a form. I don't know what they're called, I just call them forms. And push through. And then shape your brush. How beautiful does that look? Now it's very important to also remember, let's say I pulled it too far. How do I fix it? Do I pull it this way? Definitely not. You will ruin your bristles. So you just pull it all the way off and you just slip it back on, handle side first, and then pull through. These are amazing for drying brushes, but they're also great for packing your brushes. If you're going on vacation or going away for the night and you want to bring your brushes and you don't want them ruined by any means, that is a wonderful thing to use to keep your bristles perfect. So next we're going to use another Jaclyn Hill. It's the JH04. This is my angled blush brush. You can also use it for contouring, but this one I use for a blush. And now we're going to use Morphe. So when you open Morphe, you will have this little silicone scrubby mat, which I love, which I would have used with the MAC cleaner, but I wanted to do things in an order. So I put that down in the sink. There's a little protective sleeve here, and this helps make sure that the balm doesn't get too moist. And there's my balm. I'm going to wet my brush, making sure my brush is going at an angle so the water is not going into the handle. then you get in. It looks like I'm being aggressive with the soap, but I promise you I am not. Being very gentle. And then already it looks 1,000 times better. And silicone, and it's in circular motion, so I'll go one way and then I'll go another, and then I'll go back and forth. Again, never go straight down with it. You will ruin your bristles. Maybe not right away, but eventually, and it's a waste of money to throw away brushes. Rinse my still pad. I call it a still pad, even though a still pad is baking. My silicone mat. Get it nice and wet, making sure water's really going in there. Feel to see if there's any sticky residue or soap left behind, and there's not. It feels really good. Looks really clean. It's hard to see when it's wet that it's clean, but I see lots and lots of white there. I form my brush. Get my little form going. Pull through. This is another Morphe X Jaclyn Hill. This is the JH07. I use this for powdering, using setting powder around my nose, around my eyebrows, on my chin, and my forehead. So let's get this nice and clean. The handle of this one is really dirty. I don't think I washed the handle with my other one. Crap. Getting some soap. This you will see a fair amount of suds. And the suds aren't brown, they are more off-white, which I'm not surprised because this is from setting powder. My setting powder is translucent. But it's still, even if you can't see makeup on your brushes, they still need to be cleaned. You want your brushes to always, always, always be clean. At least every week, more if you use your brushes a lot. And the same thing goes with your beauty blender. Brushes and beauty blenders, sponges, and cloths all hold nasty, nasty bacteria, especially in beauty blenders because that's where it can harbor molds and stuff like that. So by washing them regularly, you are helping to eliminate most of it. It is important to make sure that you are replacing your beauty blenders every so often. I pull and I form and lay flat to dry. This is a Morphe R14. Fairly dirty. Let's get this really nice and wet. If you feel that your balm is too wet, you can just, or it's too dry, I mean, you can just re-wet your brush and put it back in there. Okay. Circular motions, back and forth. And these weren't super, super dirty, or at least some of them weren't. But my eyeshadow brushes will be very dirty. Squeeze, feel, form, Get that in there. And lay flat to dry. I like to have my brushes a certain distance apart. It probably doesn't matter. And make sure they're flat and not on the lip of the sink like I just did. This is my Morphe. This is my E27. This is one of my favorite fluffy blending brushes, and I use this thing a lot. I'm gonna get it nice and wet. Oh dear. You can see, hopefully, all of the makeup that's coming out. That's what you want to see. Even though it's gross, you do want to see that because you want to know that the soap is working to get your brushes super clean. So this Morphe Cleansing Balm is really super soft on brushes as well. I don't think it conditions as well as the MAC does, but I've never experienced any issues with using this product. I love it. And again, a form, pull it through. I pulled this through a little too far, but I'm not too worried about it. It's still going to form really nicely. Okay, let's talk about the Lavish Color Switch. As I said, it looks like, it reminds me of a charcoal filter. I have used it before, which I know that I don't like it for super cleaning brushes. So I have used this before, and not sure if you can see on camera or not, but there's a couple of brush bristles that came off my brush from using this. I don't know if that was an issue with the quality of the brush. It was another Morphe brush, but I've never had that happen before. So I'm more inclined to say that the brush just didn't like the sponge here. So this is a dry cleaner. I use kind of quotation marks around the word cleaner. It doesn't clean the brush. It just allows you to be able to switch your colors without having to like wash your brushes. This is not recommended to sanitize your brushes at all, but I'll show you how it works. So again, like any other cleaner, you don't put your brush straight in like that. You put it on an angle and you swirl it, never flatten the bristles. And what it does is this sponge collects the color, the pigment that you were using, so that you could go ahead and use this brush on another shadow and it won't transfer and muddle up your eye color. It worked okay. It's great, especially for makeup artists who, you know, are on the go and need to switch out brushes really quick. But as for really, really deep cleaning, I don't like it. So it's hard to tell because the color of these bristles are naturally kind of this mauvey kind of color. But let's see. So we use this for, I don't know, at least a minute or so. And now let's wet it. So this is still the E18. It's nice and wet. Let's grab the Morphe. It's not good for this to have water sitting in it, but I do rinse it out, and especially if we want to see if there's any dirt, or not dirt, but any color that needs to come out. And there's some color coming out on the brush. So while the color switch might be a great option if you are limited in brushes and just need to get the excess off the brush so that you can use it again right away. Okay, so it might be perfect. It might be good for traveling, but for deep down cleaning and sanitizing your brushes, it's not a viable option in my opinion. It's a good product, it's just, it's not the product for me. Squeeze the excess, have it started in the form, pull it through, even though this one doesn't really need to be in a form. Actually, I'm not going to put it in a form at all. I'm just going to shape it and let it dry flat. Okay, so this is my second to last brush. This is my Morphe E22. It is a fluffy bullet brush. And we're gonna get out good old Morphe. Circular motions. And then change. Also, if you want, you can also work it into the bristles, just like the MAC cleaner. Rinse it out. And the handle. Gently squeeze. And this one I am going to put into a form. And I'm shaping it and putting it down. Last brush is my M330. Get it nice and wet. Get into that balm. And as you can see, this is a very, hopefully you can see this is a very well used brush. And these are brushes that I use every day. These are not all of my brushes. We would be filming pretty much for the rest of the night if I was, and we're not going to do that. I won't put you through that. You can also rinse this. Don't rinse your brush and continue to do it if it happens to be a really dirty brush like this happened to be and it's still coming out a bit beigey. We want that nice and clean. If you like to see suds, then this Morphe Cleansing Balm is probably what you would like. Give that a good rinse. Grab our form, handle in first, pull through, and gently shape, and lie absolutely flat to dry. For this, even though I was using soap on this, I always clean it again. I don't want any bacteria. I don't want anything to jeopardize health and safety. Especially when you're using these brushes. on or close to your eyes. You want to make sure that you're taking care of your tools very carefully. Close up the cleansing balm. For the balm, I like to give it a quick rinse, and I don't want any moisture in there, so I take a paper towel, just a small piece, and I don't rub, I don't wipe. I pat it in just to soak up any excess water. Pull it out, and it looks gorgeous. It doesn't have to be completely dry, but you don't want water sitting in there. Then there's a plastic form that goes over top. So for the still pat, it's still a little wet, and I'm patting it down onto the towel. And then inserting it back in, and the top goes on like so. Okay, so it is the next morning. My brushes have dried flat overnight, and I'm going to go through how I sanitize the handles for my brush, as well as making sure that my brushes are super fluffy and ready to go. So here I am all set up. These are all of my brushes that I washed last night on and off camera. As you can see, there is a lot. If I had have done all of these on camera, this video would be way too long. Those are my brushes. This is my rubbing alcohol that I'm going to be using on the ends, not the brushes themselves, the bristles, but just the ends. My Norwex cloth and paper towel. So I do not use this Norwex cloth with any chemicals. It is just water. I use this to wipe down the ends of my brushes, the handles, and then I sanitize with my rubbing alcohol. So let's get to it. I'm going to start with washing my hands. I don't like touching the ends of my brushes as well as the bristles themselves without clean hands. And this is how I wash my hands every day. Okay. So this is the Norwex EnviroCloth. I use this for cleaning everything. I use it on mirrors, windows, countertops, everything, and it gets everything super clean. There's like silver ion fibers in here in the cloth, and it helps to prevent the growth of bacteria, but also sanitizing things. But I like to go one step further with the rubbing alcohol on paper towel. First brush we're going to look at is my Jaclyn Hill JH03, and we pull the form off. That looks so gorgeous. So you saw me wash my hands. My hands are very clean, and I just buff it. Then I take my Norwex cloth Now, put that down for a sec. Rubbing alcohol. There we go. Next brush is the Jaclyn Hill 02. That looks gorgeous and clean, brand new. Always make sure your hand, you saw me wash my hands, just make sure your hands are super, super clean. It's all fluffed up and ready to go. And they're so soft, especially for a synthetic brush. It's gorgeous. Again, I take my Norwex cloth, wipe it down, rubbing alcohol. I love the feeling of clean brushes. Looks beautiful. And this is the JH07. Norwex cloth. Rubbing alcohol. Look at that. And it is perfect and ready to use. And then I just re-wet my Norwex cloth as needed. And add rubbing alcohol as needed. So this is the R14. This is my angled brush, and I use this one I use for blush. I have another angled brush that I use for contouring. This one is still just a little bit wet, but as you can see, it is gorgeous and clean. Norwex cloth. And rubbing alcohol. You can see the shape, stayed beautiful. Look at that, it is gorgeous. This is my E27, and I'm dropping the forms everywhere. So Norwex brush on the ends, get them nice and clean. Re-wet that. A little more rubbing alcohol in that. And again, do not put rubbing alcohol on the bristles. This one didn't need a form. This is my E18, and we're just going to fluff it up. But that is looking gorgeous. Next is another one of my favorite brushes. This is the E22. And this turned out amazing. Like all of the brushes, very, very, very happy with both cleaners that I used. And I have to say, the forms that I bought off of Amazon, if you've never tried them, they're not expensive at all. I think I got 100 for like $20, or maybe it was less than that. It's very, very affordable, and they're reusable. These I will put away and use the next time I wash my brushes. It is gorgeous. Look at that. And the last one that we'll do, this is my M330. But look how conditioned those bristles are. Gorgeous. Right down. Perfect. Okay, I'm going to finish the rest of this off camera. That is my process of how I wash, sanitize, and disinfect my makeup brushes. This is a system that works best for me. This is my comfort zone. This is what I love to do. I love having that feeling of knowing that everything with my brushes are super clean and sanitized and ready to go. If you gained value from this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. And don't forget to slap that notification bell so you can be alerted of when I'm putting up new content or when I'm going live. Keep healthy, stay safe, and keep on filming. Bye for now.